What's going on, guys, and welcome to my ranking video of all 5 Evil Dead films. We are finally here, folks. I have reviewed all 5 films, which you can find in the description below, so if you have not checked those out yet, please do so when you can. Thank you so much, as always, guys, for clicking here. I really do appreciate it. So I've said this many times throughout this review series. The Evil Dead series, the Evil Dead franchise, has always been my most favorite demon-possessed movies. All the others that's been coming out, all the other supernaturally based movies that's been coming out, just never quite appeals to me. It never appealed to me. They probably never will. Some has even been so predictable that it's just not scary. I just don't consider those horror films at all. I've never seen The Exorcist, which I'm told that it's the greatest possession movie of all time. You know, I know it came out at a time when they, I think, actually started them. But I've never seen a single one of those. I plan to sometime in the future. We'll see. I've never really been that much into other possession movies other than Evil Dead. And the reason why I've never got into any of the others other than Evil Dead is because Evil Dead knows how to have fun with it. I need to have some fun with my horror. Some reasoning as, you know, to get me in the seat and to get me invested in everything that's going on. And Evil Dead definitely knows how to do that. It always has and probably always will. They know how to have fun with it, and it shows throughout this whole entire franchise, even the weaker ones. They know how to have fun with it. I can still enjoy it because they know how to have fun with it. But as far as the Evil Dead films goes, there's not a single one that I despise. There's not a single one that I have discrepancies against. Some are weaker than others, which is why this list was kind of hard to do. Which is why it kind of took me a little while to get this out. Plus, I was dealing with other stuff. But point being, there's not a single one of these movies on this list that I have a problem with. All were awesome. All were pretty kick-ass. Some more than others. So basically, this is going to be a from least awesome to most awesome, if that makes any sense. So let's get started. And starting off with number 5 is Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Now, this one I've never really quite got on board with. I didn't hate it, but it just never felt like it knew what it was. Like, was it a comedy or was it a horror film? It never knew what side to pick. It never could pick a side, to me anyway. And that's why this one's the weakest, though I still watch it for entertainment. Again, like I said, I have no discrepancies against any of these films. But with Evil Dead 2, it never felt like it knew what leg to stand on. Like with the whole dancing corpse scene and the whole objects laughing at random scene and just all this other different stuff. Top-notch performance from Bruce Campbell. He did a really great job, and there's some gore effects that was pretty satisfying. Plus that whole, fighting with his possessed hand after he gets it cut off scene was pretty hilarious. I never really cared for the side characters that shows up later on. I liked it when it was just him. But again, that whole thing to where this movie just never knew what it felt like. I like my Evil Dead movies to know exactly what they are. Like with Army of Darkness, pure slapstick, pure comedy. Yes, it knew what it was. With the original, it knew what it was. With the remake, it knew what it was. Even with Evil Dead Rise, it knew what it was. But with Evil Dead 2, just never really felt pure. It always felt like the black sheep of the family. So number 5, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Coming in at number 4 is Evil Dead Rise. Now, this one was pretty awesome. Rolling into this one, I wasn't really expecting anything less than what I've heard before rolling into this. I like the whole family dynamic. I like the whole setting change to where this thing takes place in an apartment instead of a cabin in the woods, which is what we've seen countless of times up to this point. And the mother getting possessed by the demon, and then shit just goes off the wall crazy. Alyssa Sutherland as the mother, as our main baddie, was awesome. She really did steal the show. I liked what she brought to the main villain of this film. It was a complete gore fest all around. It was not lost here. Lily Sullivan, who was trying to protect these kids throughout the film, was pretty good. I liked her whole character arc with the impending motherhood and the foreshadowing of her being a mother. I like that whole dynamic. It was a great character arc. But what held Evil Dead Rise back for me just a little, I prefer it to have a little bit more humor because it was dealing with children. These kids was being put through the ringer. Not that I hated the movie for this, but I just felt like it would have made more sense if the comedy and the humor that was placed in Evil Dead 2 was placed in this instead of that film. That way it would have made more sense. Plus you get this whole beginning and end scene that has nothing to do narratively with the rest of the film that made no sense. I felt like was just there to be there, had no purpose, had no merit. Could have dealt without that. But all in all, Evil Dead Rise was a great addition. And that's why number 4, Evil Dead Rise. Now the rest of these kind of goes neck. I've already said that this was a hard enough list as it was starting off, but these next 3, some might change, some might not. Hell, some might change right after I upload this video. Who knows? But coming in at number 3 is the original The Evil Dead from 1981. Now I've labeled this as an instant classic, and that's true. It is. It's a good little independently made horror film, done by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, which is, if not one of their first horror projects or films in general. And I like all the big foreshadows of all the things that Sam Raimi has done that has pretty much established himself as a film director, as the kind of filmmaker that he is today. Like with the unique visuals and the shots, the wide angles, the diagonal angles, and the upward shots. All recipes just screamed perfect. Of course, Bruce Campbell was pretty good, but it wasn't perfect. The original Evil Dead wasn't quite perfect. Just detrimental to me. There's a couple things that kind of, didn't age well, and they just kind of got on my nerves. But it was still a well-made indie horror film. And that's why number 3, The Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead. Coming in at number 2 is Army of Darkness. Now I was kind of debating on whether to put this at number 3, but I gotta go with my gut here. I gotta be truthful. Now again, this may change like real soon, like probably right after I upload this thing. But I've got to go with Army of Darkness as number 3 because growing up, as I said in the review for that film, I grew up watching the old 1930s Three Stooges shorts. I'm a definite fan of the Three Stooges. I'm never going to be afraid to admit that. That was my childhood. That was what I grew up with. With all the slapstick humor and all the comedic tone that Army of Darkness brought, of course I was going to like it because of that for that reason alone. Yes, they decided to go the more PG-13 goreless route, except for the one scene in the pit that I mentioned. Still, I adore the slapstick humor. I adore the hell out of it. And not just for that reason. Yeah, I liked the whole introduction scene to where they made it to where you don't even have to mess with the first 2 films. They just summed it up in like 2 to 3 minutes so perfectly that you don't even have to bother with Evil Dead's 1 and 2. Plus leading into that awesome theme song after he gets sucked into that time wormhole. That was really good. I like the whole going back in time story plot where it just differs from the first 2 for that reason alone. And it just made it interesting as a sort of a fresh new take at the time. The way Bruce Campbell handled himself not only as the good Ash but the evil Ash. It wasn't without its faults, but still it was a pretty enjoyable film. Army has a definite joy. Had a couple of issues but nothing to condemn it. So that's why number 2 is Army of Darkness. Now, by default, coming in at number 1 is, you guessed it, Evil Dead 2013 remake or a reboot. This one was probably one of the most perfect, greatest, and grandest remakes or a reboot, whatever you want to call it, ever made. I loved everything about it, from the character arcs and the story and just the definite reason why these kids can't leave this horrible situation. And just the character art for the main girl, for Jane Levi's character of Mia. I like all that. Like with her drug addiction and her friends trying to help her out with that. All this chaos ensues at the same time. Her getting possessed. And then her being kind of like the replacement character of the sister of Ash's character for the original film. The gore was nuts. This is the first in the franchise that's ever been the most goriest out of them all. And it's the one that even to this day consumes me with that awesome, overwhelmingly extreme, over-the-top feeling of excitement and joy that to this day gets to me. Rewatch after rewatch after rewatch in the 10 years since this film has been released, I still get that deep emotionally feeling that I always get and that just screams out awesome throughout this whole entire film. That has managed to stick with me all these years, and I couldn't be more prouder. I have no problem with this film. It is a prime example on how a good reboot should be done always. So, number 1, Evil Dead 2013 reboot. Well, that's it for this one, guys. What is your favorite in this franchise? Do you have any? What is your from least to favorite of this franchise? Leave me your comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And make sure to click that bell icon so you don't miss a thing. And I will see you on the next one, whatever it may be. What's this? Peace.